You are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of, wait for it, Woo! Welcome, my friends, to a show that seemingly, apparently, almost kind of never ends. Round number 274. I am your host, Eugene S. With the S standing for sadistical. It's just because I quoted Danzig in the little text below. We're going to discuss UFC 209. And I want you to breathe with me. Hey, put it down. Down. First, Stigmata, Calling of a Just. Bob Riley, singing the immortal words off of Intro. All of Nothing. Available from Revelation Records in Huntington Beach still. I'm on my way back to nowhere. I took my time, but I could not see so clear. But I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. So being paid back in full, always nothing. All right, enough of that. Listen. It doesn't profiteth a man. He adds not but a day unto his life by worrying and fretting. And the bad feeling doesn't do anything. Let's take a deep breath. I was going to do this show later because I figured that my mind is not right. When a man's mother died, he get a little rabbit in his blood and his mind ain't right. Noodle, a night in the box. My mind wasn't right. I mean, first of all, I don't know where you're living and how you're living, but watching these fights, for me, it is an aggressive campaign of negotiation. I've alluded to it before. There doesn't need to be any lies between us. You know, ideally, I'd be sitting in front of the fights. I have to go back and watch the Fight Pass. I got Fight Pass now. I have to go back and watch it. I mean, post-fight. Because it's colossally unfair to force the people around you who want to spend the scant weekend time with you watching fights from 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. That's a hard bill of sale. I don't give a shit what you like. It's hard to sell that. I don't give a shit what it is. Even if you're going to an orgy or a sex club, 7 hours is a hard sell. You know, once I see the semen, typically me, I'm leaving. So it's a hard sell. To counter this, to make it an easier sell, you, maybe me, will sing the huzzahs for the fight. Oh, this fight. Did you see the first one? Oh, this is a, and you start to parrot stuff that the bald one says. You start to pick up lines from Joe Rogan. to kind of explain why you're not calling your mother on a Sunday, or why you're not doing stuff with your kids, or why you're dragging your very patient wife someplace again to go watch the fights for 7. Okay, you can't. Maybe you negotiate from 7 down to 5. 5 is a lot. Hey, Eugene, how long you been spending at a sex club or an orgy? How long? 3 hours. You get in, you get out, nobody gets hurt. And that's only so the person you're with feels like they went to some kind of party and not just an excuse for you to indulge a load retrieval service, LRS. Go in, they take the load away, you go home. That's it. So when you do all that, and forget about that and the show on top of it, which is more grief. The animals don't like it. I got the dog fart in my face. I got professional indignation because I'm technically moonlighting. I got pressures. It's easy to sell those pressures when Monday morning, everybody and his mother and his father is picking up, and you got guys in the elevator, guys in the stairwell at work saying, oh, that McGregor. What the fuck? People stopping me on the sidewalk. Hey, what do you think about that Johnny Boney Joni? Look, every baseball game is not going to be a good baseball game. But let's back up a little bit. Just a little bit. A skosh. Skoshi. You speak Japanese. Skoshi skarata. Means I'm a little bit tired. It's different from yarate yarasero, which is take your pants off, I want to fuck you. Travel is so broadening. Anyway, look. Not every baseball game is going to be an exciting baseball game. Not every boxing match is going to be, but you have to qualify what constitutes a bad fight. At the base level, we can all agree, at the base level, let's all agree that at the base level, if you go to a fight, you expect to see people fighting at some point during the evening. Now, many of you behind the juniper bushes at the 7-Eleven have seen street scuffles. And the guys are bouncing around, and they're trying to do what they call in the animal kingdom posturing. What on the street, in the hood, we would call profiling. They're waving their hands and tearing their shirts off to seem larger, more formidable. We can see it, animals puffing themselves up, cats and so forth. But in nature, typically, this goes on until one attacks, one retreats, one surrenders, one loses, or one wins. Or gets to mate. You see, I'm going to digress because that's what the show is about. I used to go on these auditions for commercials. And in my mind, there was this jerk off who I knew who would say, hey, Eugene, how do you deal with the rejection? Isn't the rejection tough to deal with? Oh, and he figured if he mentioned the word rejection, every other word, I would get spooked, not knowing there are lots of things I could do during my lunch break. Eating shitty lunch is one of them. But the fact of the matter is, if I'm going to an audition, I'm ahead of the game. It's cool. I got a story I can impress people with at the bar. I don't think about it beyond that, right? People say, what are you doing? I auditioned for this, I auditioned for that. Did you get it? I don't know. They didn't call me back, but whatever. I got another audition coming up. Yeah, Dan Kelly and Rashad Evans literally look like two drunk dads fighting them in a Home Depot parking lot. I'm getting to that. So I go this way. I audition for this, I audition for that. Finally, I get a call. Hey, you got the Miller Genuine Draft commercial. Cool. I go down and film 2 days. What are they going to pay me? $2,000 a day. I go, wow, that's a lot. That's cool. Go down to Fay Dodo in LA, this club, hang out for 2 days, make some friends, film the commercial. Don't think anything of it. Go into more auditions. Hey, I got this and that. It's a good day for me. Good week, good couple of months. And then the checks start coming in. In that time, before the checks start coming in, I'm going to auditions. It's a lunch break. I'm fly guy. It's easy. I start getting the checks. I start getting panicky. $30,000, $45,000, $15,000, $20,000, not nickels. All right. So what the fuck is happening with the Wi-Fi? That's better. It seems like I'm back. So I'm afraid to ask my agent because he's going to want some money. I can't figure it out. I get over $100,000. Now I'm completely freaked out. I ask a friend of mine who's in the business. He goes, yo, bro, those are called residuals. Residuals, you get them. That's how guys can do commercials and live. You know that guy? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Multi-millionaire. I'm friends with him. I know him. That's what this guy is telling me. So, oh my God, I go on auditions now and I'm planning. Now I'm going on auditions. I'm like, come on, baby. Baby needs new shoes. Come on. I gotta put a roof on the house. And now I'm not a guy who's getting calls for auditions. I'm not getting roles because I smell different. I don't smell real. I smell like a guy. I don't know if you've seen the faces of some of these people on auditions, but my face looked like that face. You want to know what that face looked like? Rewatch the main card on UFC 209. That's what that fucking face looked like. Fear and trembling unto death, to quote Kierkegaard. It has gotten ratcheted so high. Maybe even if they gave these guys some breathing room, let them step away from the table a little bit, which is my way. This is my exculpatory argument to say maybe it's not their fault. Let them push back from the table a little bit. This is fundamentally a Brazilian fight, 10 rounds. You can't fucking lose. When you got two guys who are telling themselves they can't fucking lose, you get the kind of fights that you got on Saturday night. You can't lose kind of fights. But they didn't consider the other side of that, which is fights that nobody wins. Nobody won this fight. Nah, Eugene, you got that wrong. Tyron Woodley, Tyrone Woodley won that fight. You think so? You can remember, I've been following Tyrone's career since he was a Strikeforce guy in San Jose here. Yeah, you saw that, right? I'm getting like Herbert Lom, the twitch in the eye. Every day and every way, better and better. So I've seen his face. He's uneven. I don't know that he comes out of a wrestling tradition and is I gotta win. I don't care that it's winning in a certain way. Yeah, okay. Robbie Lawler, he had nothing to lose. Come on over, officers, says Jeff Gillooly. Nothing to lose. Not anymore. Got a belt. And that belt affords him one very singular thing. A microphone. Plenty of guys who don't have a belt but have a microphone. Plenty of guys with a belt without the microphone because they choose not to use. Don't hear too much from Mighty Mouse. He has a microphone, just doesn't care to use that microphone. Probably doesn't know what he would say if they handed it to him. Step up and say a few words, champ. So he said something, and he's complained about him not getting the kind of love he thinks he should get. Him thinking that maybe this is racial. And I got some of y'all texting me, or tweeting me, and saying, "Okay, all right, I'll just read it to you." What did the dude say? He said, "Okay, I'm going to name some names: Cormier, Mighty Mouse, Woodley, all lost in the supermarket now. That's our lits. Guys that are in the game, but who they can't figure out to market. They can't figure out how to market." And then he says, "What do they have in common?" And I really don't see it. So I say, I'll bite what? And he goes, "They're all brown." And it's like, I'm not fucking going for that. I'm not going for that. I'm not going for that because we're talking about a combat sport. You know, I don't care how much sway that the bald one has. You think he doesn't know that what Conor McGregor is revivified Ali? You have two functioning templates, and none others succeed. And you'll say you'll deny it right away as soon as I say it. You have the Ali template and you got the Tyson template. And you have to charm or scare, and there's nothing, and charm and scare, that's sex and violence. These are twin engines of American commerce. Some do in equal measures. Johnny Boney Joni, the biggest tragedy of Johnny Boney Joni is that he comes across as a dumbass now, finally. A gift. And you can't tell me he does it. Not in the cage. Not in the cage. That's not the issue for Johnny Boney Joni. In the cage. No, he's been pretty reliable in the cage. But you got to do a lot of stuff to get in the cage. I can talk my ass off, but I can't talk my way into the cage. I might have lots of firearms at my disposal. I can't even shoot my way into the cage. No, it's a special club of guys in the cage. However, that's Papa. You see how interested he is in the show. However, you know, this is a secondary game. It's like going to the audition, getting the audition. I've been thrown. You don't think I've been thrown off the set before? Some guy with a clipboard getting chippy with me. I go fuck yourself. Take that clipboard and shove it up your ass. And you know what? We don't need you anymore. Great. Where do I sign out? Because they're getting used to seeing that desperate face. They're not used to seeing the face of the guy who doesn't give a fuck. We saw the face of the guy who doesn't give a fuck. He was sitting right there when the camera flashed on him, like a supernova. His name was Nate Diaz. Vegas erupted. Compare and contrast when they talked to flashed on Paige Van Sant a few weeks ago, and Rashad was in the background going, hey buddy, and they were like, bah. So I'm not really buying the race card in regards to lack of love. Now, the bald one might have limitations in terms of what he believes constitutes an All-American. And you can see that in play. Yes to a Rich Franklin, but no to a Chris Weidman. You know? Yes to a Uriah Faber because of his endless politicking. But, you know, no to a Frankie Edgar. Is it hair color? I don't know. Is it Q ratings? I don't know. But I want Tyrone Woodley to shut the fuck up. Sorry. Because you've got good fighters who you could say, Eugene, they don't fit in the Tyson Ali template. Like Oscar De La Hoya, blah, 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 blah. Were these guys superstars? I'd say they were more Ali than they were Tyson, but I'm not seeing that there's a lot of daylight between the templates I've set out. They didn't create a new mold. I was there when Ali unveiled the rope-a-dope, and I remember the disappointment, and that didn't alleviate itself until he had given it a name and explained what he had done. I'm sitting here on a Sunday waiting for Tyrone Woodley to say something about what he did in the cage and give it a name so that I don't have to feel quite so angry. And I'm not angry with the gamer. I'm angry with the game. Because what happened is Tyrone finally looked at his fucking residual check. And now you got these guys scared to death. And he wasn't the only one on the card that was scared. You know, you fighters, you come in here, you all look different, but you all leave looking the same. How's that? Scared. Now they're getting hit. You do that day in and day out. That's called training. No. No, this is something else. This is video game rights. This is TV commercials, guest spots on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. This is movie roles. This is movie roles with lines. This is Henry Rollins used to be a fucking ice cream guy at Haagen-Dazs. Then he sang for Black Flag and slept on 4 floors and ate top ramen. I told Henry back then, I go, hey man, you should try to do movies. He goes, life is too short to spend it being somebody else. Yeah, you know what happened to Rollins? He got a residual check. It's what happens to us all. You get that fucking check and you say, man, life after the check and life before the check will be very different, but you don't count on the ways in which it's going to be different. Tyrone gave himself a C-. That's him. That's great insight. Thompson, however, was saying Misty Woodpiley shit like crazy in that presser. And Joe, who's running our LB watch list, it has been duly notified. Or maybe he notified me. I don't remember. I get what? You don't think we know? You don't think we know? We were there. We was there, Charlie. We was there. We was there. We saw it. We saw two guys. What do you think those boos were for? You think they didn't like the fucking beer in the stands? You think the hot dogs were somehow lackluster? Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. So anyway, now let's get to the fights. Let's get to the fights themselves. Let's get to the fights. Here we go. All right. And I'm not going to talk about the fight. Actually, let's start from the top. Let's just start from the top because there's no need for a segue. This was 5 rounds of complete unadulterated crap. Yeah, I mean, this is why guys like Conor McGregor are infinitely more compelling because they're not motivated by he's already rich. Like at one point, somebody said about Prince, how does it feel to not have your record? Prince says, whoa. You do know I'm already rich, right? You do know that, right? Like I'm already rich, okay? Rich, you're rich, you're rich. Dave Chappelle had to do the same thing. You walked away from a 60 mil. Your relationship to 60 mil is different from my relationship to 60 mil because I already got 30 mil. 60 doesn't mean shit to me. It's more, but I'm rich. I live in Ohio. I'm rich. I'm rich, bitch. Dave Chappelle. So when you get guys who fight who do not need the money, they fight fundamentally different. Argument number 375 about increasing fighter pay. Also, that would, in effect, imagine how guys would fight if it was an all or nothing deal. You would get savage battles with people who are pushing the boundaries of propriety. No high-fiving and low-fiving and hugging between rounds. None of that. I don't eat. Some guys understand that in abstract, like the Diaz brothers. You do this, I don't eat. So they fought the kind of fight that was necessary when you're thinking about residuals. When you're contemplating life before the check, after you've started getting those checks. That's the kind of fight you get. That's the kind of fight you get. And the reality of it is, anybody who's like 5 to 10 or 10 to 15 or in the top 20, but that's not climbing up on the cage, making that universal I am pregnant thing that they do with their hands, or I need a belt thing, it is going to fight exactly the same way. Because run away to live and fight another day is also another way of saying run away to live and get paid another day. It doesn't fundamentally matter whether people like you or not, as long as we make believe that this is a sport and you have got the belt. Mighty Mouse has got the belt. Fundamentally, sort of doesn't give a shit until they somehow finagle away. Somebody who said it recently, I think it was Nick Diaz or somebody he goes, I'm not looking for money fights. I'm looking for big fights. Let's finish that sentence. Big fights that also happen to be money fights. We're talking about the same thing. A big fight is a money fight is a big fight. It sounds better maybe to roll off the tongue and say, I don't give a shit about your money. Because that's not true. because I'm sure they waived a lot of money in front of him to go fight a GSP. But is that a big fight? You don't think the Diaz's are tied into Q ratings? You do not have to be tied into Q ratings to know what a Q rating is. You do not need to know what somebody's Q rating is before you appreciate what a Q rating is. I'm going to give you, let's play that game right now. Let's play that game right now. Jack Black. I said Jack Black. You heard me say Jack Black, and then you had a certain feeling inside when I said Jack Black. Okay, ready? Will Ferrell. Now, you heard me say Will Ferrell. I said Will Ferrell. You have a sense impression. You have a thought construct in your head of whatever constitutes Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell and Jack Black are not the same guys, but you feel differently about one versus the other. I venture no two of you. You got some people who like Jack Black more, some people who like Will Ferrell more. It's like Pascal's wager. Some who like neither Jack Black nor Will Ferrell, some who like them and don't see that there's too much light between them. But in any case, you know they're not the same person. It's like before I had kids, people would say, who's the favorite kid? You know, you hear who's the Smothers Brothers. Mom always liked you best. And then I had kids, and I would, what I thought was a mealy-mouthed response, I love all my kids the same, understood it to be more true, beyond true. My kids are all different, but I love them with the same intensity, fully embracing their differences. But my kids are so close in terms of temperament, intellect, sense of humor, personality, that's easy. I'm probably not very far from my father, which accounts for why we don't get along, but whatever, that's not about me. So these guys fought the kind of fight that they needed to fight. Until you figure out a way to get those big fights, significant fights like Nick Diaz was talking about, also known as money fights, maybe, maybe not, because money was going around with their GSP, but it wasn't a big fight. He's talking about the Q ratings for fights themselves. And the belt thing is a fucking is a pox, because it doesn't allow them to book fights where the Q rating is fucking high. And you know exactly what I mean when I talk about a Q rating. Just like Will Ferrell and Jack Black, if I tell you Johnny Boney Joni and Fedor, even though Fedor is well past it and the different weight divisions, you're interested. You're interested in a fundamentally different way than if I say Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Tyron Woodley, or Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Robbie Lawler. So is it possible to be a belt holder and have nobody care? Is it possible to have a championship fight with the #1 contender and have nobody care? Is it possible to do a second in the series and have nobody care? The only sunny spot in Vegas that night was the idea that a third one will not happen. Where does that leave Stephen Wonderboy huffing the mist? Don't know what to tell you, man. What do? You have to turn your ass around and face those guys 3, 4, and 5, or guys 5 to 10, or 10 to 15, guys who are fucking hitting for the fences because they know they got nothing to lose. And maybe that, like I said about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, without the fucking white belts, I'm nowhere. I am absolutely nowhere. I took privates my first year taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and with a black belt, learned absolutely nothing because I could pull nothing on the guy and could retain nothing because it wasn't happening in situ. I keep the white belts coming. I'm coaching them not to be a nice guy. I need them to get better so I get better. The reality of it is, it's like the king in chess. Anybody with a belt is fucking bad for the division. You don't believe me? Look at a division where that belt has been like Quicksilver, and tell me if that's more exciting than a division when you got a guy sitting on top of it. Mighty Mouse is sitting on top of that belt. How do you feel about his division? Versus heavyweight, where the belt's been changing, it's a little more heat. Your Q rating in terms of the fight is a little more trenchant. So what can I say? What can I say? We want to be angry about that fight, but that's the kind of fight you're going to get. And if you get a guy who's hitting for the fences and he's number one or number two and he's fighting for the belt, you got a guy who hasn't been paying attention to his checks. So in other words, it was shitty, but the shittiness is built into the shitty system. It has nothing to do with these guys are more or less as shitty as they ever were, which is not significant. Look, it's not their fault. Look what you made them do. Look what you made them do. It's not their fault. However, the good bright spot about it is I know I tweeted out that I hated them both. Now that I've opened up my Twitter, like I said, I've liberalized the entry policy. Everybody can come in, but I clamped down on the asshole policy. No morons. You do something stupid, and that's the sound of the guy. He said, take the guy out the back door. My boss said, take him out the back door. He's like, yeah, I got it. Head, meet door. So the best part about that fight is that I picked Woodley to win and Kid Nate picked Thompson. Of course, I picked Khabib to win and Khabib is dead. Khabib is dead. And now you're seeing structural things. You're seeing macro things happen. I'm not willing to ascribe guilt to either Woodley or Thompson for this fight and it being horrible. And I'm not really willing to say that it's Khabib's fault solo. My eyes turn to AKA. I got friends at AKA. It pains me to say this, but I've seen a lot of this. Untimely injuries. Kane had one. DC had one. Josh Thompson has had many. Miscalculations. That would be Luke Rockhold. Don't hear much talk from him about coming back, a bit militating for a fight. And Khabib, years and years. I gotta get out. You gotta baby out. I'm gonna destroy you in Russia. You gotta why? I am the champion. I am the virtual. Cue the clown music. And I made the claim on the Twitter feed that, well, these guys who are over 30 need to. He's under 30. Starts to get hard to lose that weight. How reckless can you get? How reckless can you get? Tony Ferguson, easy. Woke up Tony Ferguson on Saturday, got a check for whatever it was, 50 G's. Show money. Showed up. Thanks for the check. Comes out, smelling the same as smelling like a rose and looking at the future. It's not where Khabib is. At this point, if we were going to talk about Khabib on If I Did It, I would say now's a quiet time. Now is a time to be quiet, Khabib. You be quiet. Your father be quiet. You run Javier out there. Let him make a deal. And now maybe at the top of the bottom of the pay-per-view card or top of the Fight Pass card, and you got to get people to forget that you're a perpetual don't show. And at 28, there's a possibility that you OSB, man. Other sports beckon. It's just too much. It's too much money. The day before, it is too much. It is none of us within the sound of my voice, not a single one of us could pull something like this. Not a single one of us. I did an event in San Francisco a few weeks ago for Valentine's Day, an Aussie event, Sex with Eugene. Come hell or high water, yeah, he's out behind the. Yeah, he's out behind the. Somebody just texted. Mr. DL just texted. Khabib is out behind the Siberian woodpile. I would say that I would say that's a safe assumption because I'm pretty sure he doesn't know where the fuck he is. I'm pretty sure he has no idea how serious of a breach this is. This is beyond serious. This is serious, serious, serious breach. If I had called in sick, if I had caused them to cancel Sex with Eugene, a small event at a mid-sized venue in San Francisco, a smallish to mid-sized venue, I mean a 200-person venue in San Francisco. If I had caused them to cancel this, not huge amounts of money. Trojan came in and sponsored it, and maybe Good Vibrations, I don't remember. That would have been it. That would have been it, man. You, at that point, you just go, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. Whatever you guys want. Whatever. Whatever. I'm throwing myself on the mercy of the court because I fuck. No, and at that point, when Al Capone is walking around the table with the baseball bat, you offer zero excuses if you want to keep your head round. So going backwards in time, here I am. I'm one up. No, if the guy doesn't have the fucking fight, I take it on the chin. They did not engage. I picked Khabib to win. I will pick Khabib for nothing from now on. Nothing. 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 And if he thinks that he's going to be able to vault and stay, keep his place in the front of the line, I suggest he look at that little number. It's going to be like Beetlejuice. See it, the movie. However, I now made a fatal mistake. I can see here by my notes that I picked Rashad to win, but then I'm remembering what I said on the Care Don't Care preview. I said that I picked Rashad to win because I was pulling for homeboy. Not because I like him, but because this would be cataclysmic. A loss would be cataclysmic. And you could see the point at which he realized that. Another scared fighter. Where, how, what? Where, how, what? When the first round, in the middle of the first round, he started thinking, fuck, what if I lose this fight? And that was it. That you could see it. I said to the guys in the room that I was watching the fight, I go, there you go. That's it. That's it. That's it. I can't lose this. I can't lose. I can't lose this, man. Where I'm going to be if I lose this. God, I can't lose. Oh shit. Oh, he's down. He's got my leg. I can't. Maybe I'll take him down. I can't. Try to switch up the juju. Change weight classes. Change teams. Forget the Grecian formula. I'm just going to go for the full dye. I got a new fancy haircut. Loves the weight. I'm looking sexy now. I got the gift to get. Oh, it's sad. I had to vote for the guy. I had to pick him to win. I had to support it. No, this is beyond that. This is not just boosterism. I don't want this guy to kill himself. You know, the first time you have a serious injury, my whole identity, there was not a single photograph of me in high school where I wasn't like fucking double bicepped up. Working out in that mafia gym out in Ridgewood. All my time there. Powerlifting, competing, bodybuilding. First thing I did when I got to California, I didn't have anything. I had some Hulk shorts on, some dirty sweats and a belt, no shirt. Went out to the gym to work out. Called my guys back in Brooklyn, all these fucking California fruits, they suck. And this is when I was unenlightened. We call people fruits and all. They said, come to the gym with fucking cologne on. Can you believe that shit? It's like it's a fucking fern bar. I can't believe it. People would spit on the walls at the gym I worked at. I was like, no way. And then I got hurt. I got hurt and 2 concussions and spent half a year cripplingly depressed. Couldn't figure out why. Got to redo it. My identity was so tied up in the bodybuilding that without bodybuilding, what did I have? Nothing. I quit bodybuilding for a year. Took massive doses of medicine, Albert Hoffman medicine. and reconstituted myself and my approach to reality. How many times during that time did I sit there in a cold room with no blankets on the vinyl ticking of my single mattress with a shotgun in my mouth? Let's not talk about that. I had to pick Rashad. Somebody said, "Hey, didn't he used to do that spider crawl into the cage?" I go, even that's been taken from him. Johnny Boney Jr. took it, and he had to move off of it. Just like Tank Abbott is no longer the Huntington Beach bad boy. He's just the guy who says, "I used to be the Huntington Beach bad boy." Tito stole it from me. Stole it and owned it. I got a tattoo on my arm, right? If you can see the blade, my shoulder's killing me. I can't turn it. It says liar in the blade. How long do you think it took somebody to say 4 years later, say, "Hey, just like the Rollins song"? Took it, owned it. I'm fucked. So I had to pick Rashad, but I forgot I had picked Rashad. And during the fight, I was like pulling for the old man with the knee brace, but they both look bad. So now keep in mind, look at what we're looking at now. We got 3 freaking fights. 3. And no winners. Yeah, I know somebody won. But, you know, Kelly had the Rocky story. It doesn't mean Kelly's staying in that game. Knee brace and all. Judo time! They holler. Nate and I both picked Lando. And I was making fun of Tamor. He's like, "We need the performance of the night." Ha ha, man, hey, stop smoking that Swedish wacky weed, buddy. And he was up there saying like the internet is going to be big. And I was the one who was saying it's a flash in the pan. And he was right. It was the fight of the night. It was a fight. Let's change the punctuation on that. It was a fight. It was a fight. And neither one, you understand, this is if we're talking about Pascal's wager, this is that corner. You have 2 fighters in the fight. They both win, both lose, one wins. This is a case in which, though Lando lost, and this is his second loss, he is not diminished because he has proven himself. The guy doesn't have a fucking belt, but he can book a money fight. And he not only book a money fight, he can book a fight of significance. It's like the BCS. Nobody cares what the computer says, man. Who gives a fuck what the computer says? They do not, to quote Dream Crusher Sorrell, don't fucking care. Don't fuck care. Don't fuck care. Popeye. So Lando and Tamor, these guys, they came together. They created magic. They go their separate ways, not reduced, but increased. Thompson and Woodley came together. They created black magic. They go their separate ways, diminished. Diminished. I don't give a shit who he's fighting next. The guy with the belt wants to hold on to that belt, and he'll hold on to it anyway, and you don't hold on to it by swinging for the fences. You hold on to it by being, what did Joe Rogan say? He's a tactician. Yeah, for those of you listening on the radio right now on iTunes, I am now making with my right hand the universal sign for jerking off a penis. Tactician. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. And even the bald one, he smells different now. He smells like, man, I'm just here till the check clears, bro. Hunt and Overeem. And so now this is where Kid Nate starts pulling ahead. Because I picked Mark Hunt again, sentimental pick, guy with that terrible life story, his father and so on. I will never not pick him, and I can't trust Overeem. And like I didn't trust Overeem here, he if you told me you thought he was going to win that fight, he was pulling. Before that, he was Caleb Starnes. He was running. He was pedaling. He was fighting scared. Mark Hunt got. Probably the lawsuit didn't hurt. Even the jungle. Even the jungle want him got. Even the jungle. So I'm down. For the first time in ever, Kid Nate is like putting lumps on my head. Putting lumps on my head. And we have a couple of don't cares moving to the care. I did pick Marcin Tybura over Enrique Kike. And I was right. So now we're even, right? So he's got two. He picked Kelly, and he picked Overeem. And then I got I got Marcin and I got Woodley. And then he picked Beckett, and I did not give a fuck. Bektik, which is just as well. I guess you lost Bektik. Somebody else needs to figure out the odds on this one. And then I picked not Alcantara. So that would have been Sanders, and so I lost. And Kid Nate picked Sanders, and so he lost. It's just to determine how you want to phrase it. But Alcantara is a geek, so he does what geeks do. Didn't give a fuck about Mark Godbeer and Daniel Spitz. Didn't care about Tyson Pedro. Care about Tyson Pedro now. Where? Hold on. And didn't care about Morales. And then where are the women on the card? The one, it's not here, man. Well, there's women with don't cares. Well, how come I don't see him here? Yeah, here we go. Amanda Bobby Cooper. Got a lot of first names in there. And Cynthia Cavalli. I like good jiu-jitsu. Cynthia Calvillo is beautiful. We didn't care about it. She is now a care for me. Solid purple belt stuff, baby. Let the purple reign continue. Somebody asked me today I've seen him go from blue to purple. He goes, why aren't you a brown yet? I dragged him over to Sorrel. He goes, how come Eugene is not a brown belt yet? And he looks at him and goes, doesn't deserve it. I'm injured. I'm injured today. But even with that injury, I don't deserve it. I mean, I want to for a second here. I'm going to write this piece this week on why America hates a winner, but it's something else going on. It's something else going on. We want to carve a space in the material world for, an expression of our failure. I mean, the whole country of Germany was pretty fucking smart at the time. And yet they signed on to the whole Hitler thing very easily. Even in the face of patent falsehoods. Like people say, you and racism. I go, look, if you want to talk about classism, if you want to talk about caste, if you want to talk about archetypes, if you want to talk about, like Anton LaVey said, I'm into animal archetypes. There's some people you look at and they're cows. Or like I've said in the show before, have you ever looked at a cow and wondered whether or not it was a cow? No. You look at it right away, you know it's a cow. For all this talk about the Aryan Supermen, how many of those men were actually, based on their system, Aryan Supermen? The club-footed Goebbels, the fat drug addict Goering, the half-caste Heydrich. Hitler was 5'8", 5'9", possibly one testicle, bad gas problems, addicted to drugs. Somebody said, we ran a piece on this film, The Swastika, where the guy interviewed Albert Speer, caught Speer lying to him. Shocker. But one of the last interviews with Albert Speer ever. And it was pretty clear that nobody believed it for real. But that's different from being party to deceit. I will never be Mr. Olympia, but I believed that for a long time. I'd like to believe that a good portion of my life is I'm engaged in what I feel to be fairly significant activity. But you notice the proviso, what I feel to be. I'm not making the claim that it's significant. What I feel to be significant. And if you widen the circle around me to collectivize it, well, we all collectively agree that a brown belt is something significant. In actual fact, it just means that I've been doing that shit for a long time and I've learned a skill set. I could sell that better than Hitler could sell this idea that he's an Aryan Superman. He's a messenger provided by Providence, divine providence. A messenger, really? What? It's a battle between the spiritual world, the world of non-bodied consciousness, and material world. I've come to this conclusion. The material world is where fighters dwell. Fighters with bad backs, fighters with gimped arms, fighters with cauliflower ear. They deal with the material world constantly and continually. And the material world degrades. And they appreciate this. We, the viewing audience, deals in the world of spirit and archetypes. We, like Hitler said about the crowd, essentially feminine. We're not dealing with what is, we're dealing with what could be, what might be, the unseen. And if you want to know why the rebel angels were kicked out of heaven, I'm going to have to look to that. They're like, hey, we're spirit beings. Spirit's great. It exists outside of time. It doesn't degrade. Why would you create humans? I don't know. I'm doing it anyway. Follow them. Bow down before my son. The exemplar material man, Jesus. Nah, Lucifer says, I'm not doing that. You tell me this thing that rots and stinks? This hairless ape, you want me to bow down? I'm not doing that. I don't understand decay as being a necessary attribute for perfection. Sorry. I'm making an analog here. And the analog is the fighter doesn't understand the guy who's dealing in the material world he understands that we think it's a C+ or a C-, but he doesn't really have a good sense of that outside of how much he's been a fan himself in the past. He could hear the boos, but what were they booing? They were booing the absence of an archetypal approach. You know, there's a great story about Alexander the Great where he said, hey, let's go climb up that hill. We can drop in the back. We can invade them. We can kill them all. And she was like, hey, man, that sounds kind of risky. These guys, his soldiers, were dealing with the material world. Alexander the Great was a visionary. He saw stuff that was not there. He goes, you know what? Fine. Fuck you guys. I'll do it myself. He climbs the wall. They all sit around and looking at him. And they go, well, his material body is actually climbing that wall. It looks like he can make it. Screw it. We'll go with it. Climb the sheer face of this thing. They drop back on enemies and kill them all. It's the moments where the material world and the spiritual world come together that are our flexion points that make us love the sport. We didn't see any of that Saturday night. So once again, you have material and you have this clash. No rebel angels were thrown out. So rebel angels, if there's so much of this spiritual world, how come they don't do more to nurture the spirit? You don't fuck about that. They're out to prove a point. And the point is, material sucks. Look what I can get them to do. I can get them to rape their children. I can get them to crash into each other drunk. I can get them to eat poop. I can get them to do anything. But spirit is eternal. Energy, neither created nor destroyed. There's perfection. But I think fundamentally God, being creator, whatever you want to call it, perfection has its limitations. I'm making an analog here. The belt holder, the apex material men and women, don't interest us. Not in total. America hates a winner. Why? We want something otherworldly. We want intimations of spirit, which is life beyond beyond time and space and earthly measure. And that's what we're looking for. When you're sitting there in the stands and some shit happens in the cage and you look at the person next to you like, fucking God, that's the moment you want. I can name moments like that. Anderson Silva tapping out Chael Sonnen with like 30 seconds left. Oh my God. Johnny Boney Joni beating the fuck out of Mauricio Shogun Hua. God. Or dropping Machida like a sack of potatoes. That's what we want. That's what we came for. Can you deliver this? Can you deliver this? Many of us are not going to put up with boring baseball games. Sorry, that's not why we came. Not why. The psycho monograph of a person who's attracted to fighting is fundamentally different from that person who's attracted to football. It's an individual contributor sport. We pared away all that other stuff. These guys fight from teams. They don't fight on teams. Or they fight on teams, but not, well, you know what I mean. Can't keep doing this to us. You can't. You're going to lose. We come to for a different thing. Yes, fundamentally, guy who's in the football team, his team loses. He has the same sort of series of emotions. But we are dealing with distillate here. Distillate. Do not fuck with the fight fan. There are ways that these guys, now keep in mind, Tyrone Woodley has done this for his entire career. Lures us back in and inside. Lures us back in inside. Lures us back in inside. Okay. Wonder Boy, why do you think he was sounding so misty, so wood-piley in the conference? Because he doesn't have a history of that, and we don't trust him. Do not trust him. Anyway, that's the end of the show. Sorry to get so deeply philosophical, but this is the only way I talked myself out of that rage hole, because I was angry. Like, to kind of like punch the dude. If I hadn't have been injured, it would have been a horrible day for my partners at jiu-jitsu today. Horrible. But I had to get myself out of that spot. I hope it's done so for you. Tuesday night, we're back to If I Did It, Tuesday at 7. Show up. Be there. Don't be square. And if there's a fight next weekend, we'll do a Care or Don't Care preview. We should have fully relaxed by then. The show doesn't go live. If Kid Nate is watching, I gotta get to Orchard Supply and buy some hardware stuff before it closes. Then I'll come back and I'll write the opening stuff for you. If you want to go on the Twitter feed right now, it's open. It's a free-for-all. It's a blitz. It's a blitz. It's a barroom blitz. At Eugene S. Robinson. Twitter, Instagram, Mr. Sleep 3. But if you don't have any photos, I'm not going to okay you. And if you block me and it's a Mexican standoff, I block you. You block me. You block me. Nah. You got to show me yours first. That's it. I'm concerned about spies. I realize now Twitter is not the place for privacy. That's why I open up the club. I still have an anti-moron policy. Instagram, maybe that's the place. If I want to keep things a little bit reserved, I can branch out, right? I can send stuff out, and it goes on Twitter. If I want to, I can keep it back. But that's where we are. Tuesday night, we'll see you. End of the show right now. Again, I hope somehow have mitigated some of your personal misery or anger over this fight. And I don't care. That applies no matter who you were a fan of. No matter who you were a fan of. I'm not biased. Anyway, end of the show. Knuckle up. Round number 274. We'll see you in a couple of days. Look what you made me do!